Alrighty, good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, September 14th, 2023. Let's go ahead and jump into everything. Hope everyone is having a good morning. We're going to review yesterday very briefly, and like I've been saying all week, with contract rollover, the market is more than likely going to be pretty choppy, with no real direction as all the volume starts to move into this new December contract. So let's look and see. Yesterday, we started out by saying there really wasn't any conclusive arguments for one side or the other. We could have interpreted the fact that maybe we were down below 50% of last week. We were down below 50% of the day before, just before the open, right? Look what happened here. Before the market opened, we rejected around 50% of the day before. Actually, more importantly, right up around that major retracement that we had on the charts. Came down in the overnight session, could not get through 50% of the day before. So those were some things that you could interpret. But again, we didn't really have anything conclusive. And let's take a look at what happened here yesterday. Bring this over. Maybe we can look at the whole day because the volume may have been pretty light. So here's the whole day, right? Popped up out of the open, pulled back, popped up, pulled back, and then popped up basically to where the market opened and it closed. Right, so very balanced, nothing really notable. Although let's look real quickly at some of these things that happened. Right, so we came into the high of the day before, got a bearish divergence, and started our pullback. There was a good opportunity to buy the 200 on the pullback, but it didn't go anywhere. Didn't even get to 5 points. Came down lower, and then we got the bounce off VWAP, but it was, I believe, one tick in front. So if you were waiting for that trade, you might have missed out. That did give you just about 5 to 6 to 7 points. Didn't get quite back up to the high of the day before, and then continued to pull back. And again, nothing super notable here, but the high of the day, and actually there was a nice pullback to the 200 here as we started to get this little bit of a rally. And yes, there are these beautiful pullbacks into the FMA when you get in these little bullish runs, right, or bearish runs on the other side, right? So there were scalp opportunities if you were just using the 512 and all of our levels. Came up though, and again, the high of the day, and this is almost day in, day out, we have levels that outline the high of the day and the low of the day, sometimes to the tick or within a few ticks. So the market came up right to this major swing. There's a reason I put these on the chart, guys. You might think let me get my 60-minute chart. You might think I'm crazy when I come in and I go, look, there's a bunch of swings here, but this swing right here is going to be significant, right? So yesterday, and actually, down over here, 45.30-ish, this swing was going to be significant, and sure enough, that was the high of the day. So this is not just like me pulling stuff out of my butt here. There's rhyme and reason to it, and yeah, it doesn't work every time, but they do work nearly to the tick when we have some type of turn. So came down, and this is the type of trade I like as well. Maybe we can talk about this in one of our webinars, is when we start to pull back and get below some of our key levels. Now, this is a preliminary potential scaffolding for right now, but came up right to the back end, tagged it with this huge divergence, and then that was the beginning of the sell-off going into the end of the day before they popped back up and, again, came up to where the market opened. So some pretty cool stuff, even though it was a total washout in terms of direction. And then at the end of the day, we got this nice little pop and a pullback right to the VWAP, then pulled back, held the 200, and held the 200, and again, tried to push back up. So again, it was super choppy. I'm not sitting here telling you should have made a whole bunch of money. It was very hard to kind of find direction yesterday. But if you're trading on the 512 and you're just looking for scalp opportunities using the fast and slow moving averages, the VWAP, and our levels with some divergences on the 512 chart lining up, you can be successful in any market. It doesn't matter if it's choppy. It doesn't matter if it's even better when we're in a nice directional move. There are lots of opportunities. Now, you're going to get into situations where it just chops, right? So every test of one of our moving averages just kind of gets washed out. But a lot of the times when we start to get a little micro movement in the market, you can parry off these areas. So that wraps up the review for yesterday. Again, nothing super sexy there. Nice hold off the back end of 50% of the day before as we started to fail. So remember what I told you, when you're looking at the charts in real time and you're trying to decide what you want to do, the interpretation here is we got a rejection. The market sold off, got through VWAP, got through 50% of the day, got through Hopel, and started to really get heavy here. So a kickback right into 50% of the day before would have been a good opportunity. And look at that huge divergence right off of that area, right? Just major. So that brings us into the overnight session here. And there actually were some cool opportunities in the overnight. A lot of times, this is what we see, afternoon to afternoon, pullbacks right to the VWAP with beautiful divergence for, a continuation higher. Now, it doesn't mean every time we test VWAP, it's going to work. But when it works, it usually holds with very limited risk. In this case, didn't quite get as far as I wanted. I actually took this trade. Was talking with my friend. We had the charts open. I saw what's pulling back into VWAP. I saw the potential divergence setting up. It was pretty massive, at least on the 512. And the 512 in the overnight session, again, is almost exactly like a 3-minute chart. It could be even like a 10-minute chart, depending on volume. But basically right to it with that setup. But it didn't quite get to my 10-point target and then ended up stopping out the rest of my position as the market pulled back in the middle of the night. So, and then on the pullback, what do you know? Again, there's a reason I have these on my chart. I have enough experience to know that these levels, when they work, are pretty, just kind of blows my mind every time. So right to the close of the day before, to the tick, right? Now we're getting this attempt to go ahead and break out now. So that was basically the overnight session there. Coming into the pre-market now, you can see that the bulls are trying to continue to push. And a nice pullback here just about 30-40 minutes ago, right off the Hopel, right? So now if you bought Hopel there just about a half hour ago or whatever that was, 40 minutes ago, you would be up over 10 points. Actually, we're almost up 20 points from there, right? And there's your beautiful pullback to the VWAP, okay? So that brings us into this morning. I'm going to go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames.